Good morning, Don Winter from Panama Guide. Today is the 6th of December 2012, and here's the news in Panama today, 8 minutes or less. In La Prensa today, they're still talking about this case of this lawmaker from the Cambio Democrático Party. Her name is Yanibel Abrigo. It has to do with the purchase of a parcel of land, and they're connecting it to politics. It's business mixed with politics. She apparently had the land going back to the 2004 timeframe, and then she was having problems getting the land titled when the PRD was in power. So she got herself elected as a deputy in the National Assembly, and then she also changed parties to the Cambio Democrático Party, and then her property gets taken care of. So it's just one of these questions of politics getting mixed with business, and a politician getting, stuff done that they needed to get done, or what have you. Okay, on the headline for the Panama American today, it says the unemployment rate in Panama drops to 4%. It's actually less than 4%. They say there are 68,352 people that are unemployed in Panama, but in fact, there are more jobs available than there are people to do them. There's actually, what the problem is that there's jobs available that people don't have the skills to do, and the people that are unemployed are located in areas where the jobs are not, like living up in the mountains or in remote or rural areas. So it depends on how you cook the numbers, but the matter of fact is that the Panamanian economy continues to grow, everybody continues to make more money, and basically anybody who wants to work can, and anybody who wants to improve their skills can get a better job. So the employment market is looking very good for Panama. Okay, in the Estrella, they're still talking about their scandal with the public registry. The director of the public registry says it's not our job to investigate these things. They're basically saying it's the job of the public ministry, and in that case, they're right. However, they have to do an internal administrative investigation, and without a doubt that this fraudulent, basically land stealing that was occurring was being done from an inside job, basically, in the public registry at the time. So the Estrella has got that, they're on that bone liquor Rottweiler, and they're not going to let go of it. Okay, in La Crítica front page, the Narcos submarine sank off the coast of Isla Colón in Bocas del Toro. The narco sub was being chased by spotted by a plane from the U.S., either Navy or Coast Guard, tipped off to the Costa Rican Coast Guard. They were chasing it, and then it ran out of Costa Rican waters into Panamanian waters. And then apparently the crew eventually scuttled it to sink it in the deepest water they could find. And 3 people were arrested, and when they were busted, there was like bales of cocaine floating near these guys. And apparently one guy died. And apparently he was the guy who tried to pull the plug on the sub and sink it. So that is making headlines for La Crítica. In the Panama, or rather in Telemetro, there was a report that was recently released about from Transparency International. It's an analysis of 174 countries around the world, and then they get a rating scale. And Panama scored 38 out of 100, with 100 being a perfect score and 0 being, the most corrupt country in the world. Panama has always scored in about that same range, 35, 38, 40. There hasn't really been a big change up or down either way. Basically, corruption remains as it always has been in Panama, so it's really not much of a headline there. Okay, over to TVN. One of the ministers, or 2 of the ministers, have recently come out, and they're basically sticking their foot in it again, saying that, oh, well, we think that, Martinelli should be reelected. And Martinelli just comes out and says, basically stop talking crap. What he really wants to say is shut the hell up, because he doesn't want to be reelected. He's not going to run for reelection. And the people that are working for him need to understand that, and they need to stop talking about it, because every time somebody in his government opens their mouth and talks about Martinelli getting reelected, then he has to deal with it again. He's done everything but get a tattoo right here that says, I don't want to be reelected. And anyway, that ain't going to happen. So that's a headline once again. Okay, in the Siglo, there's a guy in San Miguelito that got shot 4 times. He made it's one of these Siglo things. You know, if it bleeds, it leads. So, you know, he's on the front cover bleeding. Okay, in Mi Diario, it has this bus crash. The same one I covered yesterday. They have miracle, two things. There was a cop that was shot, and it was his bulletproof vest stopped the bullet. And then this bus that went off the hill and rolled down the hill, and the only guy that was in the bus was the bus driver. So anyway, that's their front cover. And then over on Dia Dia, they're saying that the flooding that recently occurred, that the residents of Villa de las Acacias had warned that that because of some construction that had been done downstream, that it was going to screw up them, and then of course, then that happened. Okay, so that's 6 minutes. I'm getting it down to no time at all. All right, I've done a little thing here talking about one of Panama's open secrets. I'm going to tag that onto the end. That's it for today, and I'm out. Have a good day. Bye. Good morning. There's an article up on the internet this morning that I wanted to discuss briefly. There's people that don't know what they're talking about have a tendency to get an assignment to go write an article about Panama. So they go write an article about Panama. They might call one or two people. They get some bad information, and they write their article based on that bad information. One of the consistent things that the opposition, and particularly the Panamanista party, is always harping on is that Martinelli wants to get reelected. Okay, no, he doesn't. He's done everything except get a tattoo saying, I don't want to be reelected, okay? However, this is something that continues to keep going around. It's like, why would he step down? Why? He's not going to run for reelection. It's prohibited by the Constitution, and the Panamanian people would not elect him anyway. But in Panama, there's these things that are called open secrets. There are things that like everybody knows about, but nobody talks about, and I'm going to talk about one of them. Here's what happens. Let's say that there's a company. This is a fictitious company. It doesn't exist. I just made it up. If there happens to be a company in Panama called the Road Company SA, well then, I didn't know about it. And again, I'm just making these numbers up, all right? So this isn't any real example. It's just something that I'm just using to illustrate this thing. Let's say this company has existed for like the last 9 or 10 years, and they build roads, they do little projects. Let's say they've done about $2.5 million a year on average, okay? Then all of a sudden, somebody comes along and says, we're going to take 25% ownership of your company in shares, and you're going to have a new partner, okay? Then all of a sudden, after that has been done, and of course this 25% ownership is done offshore, bearer shares with shell companies or representatives, so it's really hard to tell who that 25% owner really is, okay? Then this company, all of a sudden, out of the blue, starts to get government contracts to build roads and highways or bridges or whatever they do for a lot of money. Now this is public funds. These are tax dollars. This is Panamanian government state money, all right? All of a sudden, this company, who was a small company that wasn't doing a whole lot of business, all of a sudden starts to make a whole crap load of money. And so does the new partner, all right? Now, this is a permanent situation, all right? Once these shares are handed out, that's forever. That's not going to go away after the 2014 elections. Get it? Okay? There's no need to be reelected when you've spent 5 years setting these up, okay? Every little company that makes money has a new partner. Now, nobody's going to complain. Why would you complain if you were doing this and now you're doing this? It makes no sense to bitch. You like your new partner. You're happy. Okay? So, one of Panama's little secrets that everybody knows about and nobody's complaining about because they're too busy counting. And that's one of the reasons why Martinelli doesn't care if he gets reelected or not. All right? But he's not going to get reelected. Anyway, to the news. Or actually, I think I'll put this after the news. Well, whatever.